Good afternoon, everybody. Thanks for joining us. We'll give everybody about 2 minutes to get on here before we get started.
Thanks, Blair.
Hey, everybody.
Hey, Press.
Awesome. Blair, can everyone hear us, or is it just us right now?
Yeah, it's webinar style. So everyone can only see the panelists until we get to the Q&A portion if we want to call people up to video and sound.
Awesome. I love that. Great. We'll give everyone a minute here to keep hopping on. I see your number keep jumping, so we'll give them another minute or two. Lance, Karina, how are you two doing?
Really good. How are you?
Good.
I'm good. Karina, where are you headed off to?
I'm headed back from, I just made an emergency ditch run here to Walmart to get fabric and sheets to make masks because our primary county here in Houston is about to announce that masks are mandated for the next 30 days.
Oh, wow.
So literally I ran out the door to go get fabric because we have a lady that's been making masks for us, but we need more fabric.
Wow. Well, that's, good for you to get out there and ahead of the crowd.
And they're branded masks too.
Are they really?
Of course they're. I should run and get one.
Here.
I'll run and get one.
Here, I have it.
Nothing
I
less
have it.
like-
I wore it. Here we go.
I saw her wearing that. It was so cute. It's a perfect KW red too.
Yeah. There we
That
go.
is awesome.
Hey, hold on. Oh,
This is top one. Wow, look at that.
There's our.
Has our
Ah,
TLG.
Don't tell my car.
It has our
that
TLG.
is
Can you
that's so
see it?
cool. Yeah.
That is
We see
so
it.
Don't
It looks
tell my-
awesome.
Don't tell my car insurance what I'm doing though while I'm driving.
That's great. This is I expect nothing less from you guys. You've got Yeti mugs, t-shirts, and now masks. There it is.
I have my name on the other side.
Very cool.
This lady that's been making them for us has been absolutely amazing. She's one of the ladies from our nail salon, and she makes them for the ladies when they're doing acrylic nails and stuff. And she literally has been mass producing these masks for us and not asking us to pay her anything, which we will, but
Wow.
it's just really cool how people are showing up for each other,
Yeah, that
That's
is really
cool.
cool. You get to see people's heart when stuff hits the fan, right?
Yeah, you sure do.
Awesome. Well, let's go ahead and kick this off. So I'll sort of open it and announce our amazing guests we have. So first off, thanks to everyone who's on the Zoom with us today. So this is our top 100 Zoom in the Ohio Valley region. So we've been doing masterminds in person. COVID-19 happened, and now we're doing it via Zoom. And we have got an amazing group of leaders in our region. So we're excited about sharing some amazing value with them today. So we thought, as we were thinking about our next guests we wanted to bring on, we thought who better than to bring on some of the biggest thinkers that I know, people I consider both friend and also people I look up to in a big way in terms of thinking big and also acting big, especially right now, given everything that's going on. So Lance and Karina Loken are our guests today. I don't believe you guys are going to need an introduction, but I'm going to just share a quick little fact about the Loken Group that I was just pulling, because I was looking for y'all's 2019 numbers. Lance, correct me if I'm wrong, because I know you want it to be accurate. What I saw is that in 2019, the Loken Group did 2,482 units. Is that correct?
Yep.
For 8,531,416 gross commission income.
Yep.
Wow.
Good job.
That's a very big number. And we're not talking volume, we're talking gross commission income, right? So without further ado, I'm going to pass it over to Lance and Karina. And here's kind of the way we thought we'd do our mastermind today. So we're going to let Lance and Karina kind of share their story and their path of building such a massive business. And then I'd love for Lance and Karina, for you guys to speak a little bit on how you've adjusted to business as not so usual right now, and talk about how you've sort of pivoted. And then after that, let's maybe 20, 30 minutes of that, let's open it up to the group and let them ask questions. And what we'll do is, if you have questions, Blair, what do you want them to do? Start putting it in the Q&A?
Yeah. So if you have
section?
a question, let's save the chat for just discussion. And if you have a question down at the bottom of your screen, you'll see Q&A. So put your question in there. And what we can do when we get to your question, we can add you as a panelist so you and unmute you. So you can actually come on, ask your question, have a conversation back and forth with Karina and Lance, and then we can move on to the next. So if you have a specific question, just put that in the Q&A.
Perfect. Okay. So to kick us off, why don't we do this? All of our top 100 agents, why don't you go into the chat box and make sure you select all panelists and attendees, and then go ahead and let's give Lance and Karina a big Ohio Valley welcome via the chat. And then Lance and Karina, I'm going to turn it over to you. Why don't you guys start off by telling everyone your story and talk about your trajectory of going from there's no way in heck I'm getting into real estate to #1 producers in Keller Williams.
Go ahead, Karina.
Lance, I was going to say, why don't you start? I'm about 2 minutes from the house when this background noise will go away. So why don't you go ahead and start it?
Okay. So for myself, I'm Lance Loken with the Loken Group. Most of my career is in the retail sector. What got us to Houston, Texas was Francesca's Collections. I was the CFO there for them. And in 2008, Karina said, you know what, I really love Houston. We're never leaving. And so I got real smart and got into the oil and gas industry for two reasons. One, I thought it was an intriguing industry. And because we're in Houston, felt like that was a real secure opportunity. And then 2010, found out that that was probably the dumbest decision I ever made. And 400 of us lost our job in May of 2010, and had offers all over the United States. Karina goes, that's awesome. And you're either going to commute or you're going to figure out a job here in Houston. And I said, there's nothing available here in the Houston economy and environment. And she said, why don't you get into real estate with me? And I said, there's no way in the world I'm stooping to that level. And January 2011, we started the Loken Group. So that's how we started. Literally the first week when we got into business together, we sat down at the dining room table and wrote out our mission, vision, and value statements. The biggest reason for me was because I needed a path to go after. I needed a game plan to attack. I'm not a person that just does things for the sake of doing them. I need to have a reason. And so for for us, the vision statement was huge because it gave us a path to focus on for the next 7 years. And we did our business plan out through 2017 because based off of the numbers that we worked with, we figured that by 2017, we could be number one in Houston and worked everything backwards. So that's where we started from a game plan standpoint.
Lance, what year did you become number one in Houston?
2016.
It's awesome. I love that. So you guys, you get into real estate. Lance, you kind of come kicking and screaming. Karina had already been in for a while. I'm curious, what previous exposure did you have before you stepped in to like mission, vision, values? Was that all things you picked up prior to KW, or were those things you picked up early on by going to training?
So the mission, vision, and values comes from the corporate experience, from the perspective of building a business plan, and that's literally what we did. We built a business plan in order to accomplish the goals that we had set out. And for me, if we were going to do this, it was go big or go home, right? And so looked at the number one agent in Houston, who happened to be the number one agent in all of Keller Williams at the same time, and said, okay, so how do we beat him, and work those numbers backwards. And then the mission statement was literally off of the cover letter of my resume. And then the value statement, we came up with them together, but Karina had found a really cool exercise that we've utilized since that initial day. And basically what it is you take 30 seconds and write down the 5 to 7 items that you would fire somebody today for. And then once you've written down those 5 to 7 items or 8 items, whatever the case may be, then take the exact opposite of that, and that's your values.
Right, and it has to, I'm parked now, so I'm not making so much background noise. It has to be like your blink, guys. Like, if it just, as fast as you can, write down those top 5 to 7 things, because that's really like at your core what is most important to you. Okay.
I've never heard that. That's a really cool exercise.
And it's proven to be very, very effective. We just added one line item to our value statements, and we did that exercise, and it worked to a T.
Wow. Would you mind sharing some of the ones that you came up with? Well, maybe
Sure.
some of the pods you had?
Yep. So here's our values right here on the poster. So we have 7 values. Humble. We never forget that we owe everything to the efforts of each team member, our families, and our clients. Accountable. We operate with a high level of accountability, taking full ownership in delivering on our commitment to excellence. Grit. We persevere in our efforts no matter the obstacle, with a high sense of urgency, while always keeping our team and clients top of mind. Innovative. We pursue excellence by pushing each other to be better every day and seeing possibility instead of limitation. Integrity. We promise to always do the right thing for our team, our business, and our clients, resulting in mutual success. Solution-based. We are resourceful, always seeking to discover a solution and providing options for any concerns that arise. And finally, servant leadership. We are passionate about giving back to the communities we serve.
That's awesome. I love that. That's so good.
And it's also on our website, thelokengroup.com. So,
Lance, I want to move into talking about sort of the time frame of you scaling up. But before we do, one of the things I noticed that you and Karina do really well is, I see some businesses, not just real estate, they talk about a lot of ideas, a lot of really good ideas, but they don't really put it down on paper. And what I noticed you guys do a lot is you actually put stuff onto a poster. Like, you put things down and you go back to it and you reference it. Does that go back to corporate? It's sort of the way corporate works, or what's sort of the thought process for why you actually blow some of these things up, put them on posters, reference them in your trainings and I've been to one of your office meetings before, and you talk a lot about your values and things like that. So speak a little bit about sort of what's the psychology behind that and what's the reason for it?
Sure. And by the way, the GPS for 2020 is standing right up here to the left of my desk. So I look at it every single day to make sure we're adhering to it. So absolutely. And the reason is for me initially, and for Karina and both of us, if you don't write it down and put it in a place where you're going to constantly look at it, you're going to forget about it. So
Right.
we needed to have it in front of us in order to hold us accountable. And then when you start talking to people and they're asking you questions and stuff, you tell them the exact same thing that you have on your GPS or on your mission, vision, and values. All of a sudden now, instead of you're just holding yourself accountable, you've got an entire audience that's holding you accountable. And by writing it down, it becomes real. So many of us think about doing something and then next week we're right back to doing the same habits we were doing before. When you write it down and you look at it every single day, it's like, okay, crap, I better get doing this stuff. So we try to take a few ideas and blow them up, blow them out of the water versus trying to do 10 different things and not be real successful at any of them. So literally our GPS is split into 4 categories, and we have a task force for each of those 4 categories to make sure that they're meeting on a weekly basis, ensuring us success by the end of the year.
Press, another thing to think about that somebody shared with me, and it's definitely proven to be true for us as we've grown the team. I was teaching, I think I was teaching maybe 30, 60, 90 one day, and somebody had shared that they had been interviewing a candidate, and the candidate was interviewing with 2 teams in their local area, and they knew each other, right? And the one team was growing at a really quick trajectory, kind of like what TLG has done. And I mean, just kind of blowing it up. And the other team was also growing in a positive upward direction, but at a much more slow and steady kind of a pace. And so this candidate interviewed with both, and the person that was sharing the story was the rainmaker for the team that was growing at Mach speed. And he thought, he had it in the bag. He's like, I knew, like, we had a faster growing team. This girl was really driven, blah, blah, blah. And he said, when it came time to make the offer, she accepted the offer from the other team. And he said, I couldn't wrap my head around it. So I called her and said, congratulations, I'm happy for you. And can you tell me why you made your choice? And she said, absolutely. She said, both of you have a great business. Both of you are growing. Both of you have great goals. She said, but the other team had them written down, and that told me that they were fully committed. Ouch, right? And she said, I see that you have great goals. You have you have a track record that's showing your growth, and I don't know that you're fully committed to your goals because you don't have them written down. And that just speaks volumes to me, and that's why I made my choice.
Wow.
So really kind of back to what Lance was just saying too, right? Like when they're written down, there's such a different level of accountability. Other people, you're making that commitment to the people that are part of your organization if you have a team, right? And people can help hold you accountable so that you achieve what you're setting out to achieve.
And to Karina's point, Press, we feel very strongly that we were able to attract the executive team that we have today because we had everything written down. And when we had discussions with them, they'd ask, well, what are you going to do? Where are you headed? We literally were able to show them our path of where we were going to, what we were going to achieve. And they were able to see themselves within that arena. And we got an amazing group of an executive talent because of that.
Yeah, Lance,
Yeah.
one of my big
Well,
oh, go ahead, Karina.
Oh, I was just going to say, by putting it down on paper, it also really forces you to have to get clarity, right? Like you can't just kind of have those, like you were saying, you can't have kind of those thoughts in your head. By putting it on paper, it makes it real, number one, and it forces you to just kind of like go a little bit deeper on what those thoughts are and get such clarity. And to Lance's point on the hiring, our whole team really, people are like, how do you manage 80 some people? And when you're hiring people that are all wanting to go in the same direction on the same ship to the same destination and have, their values in alignment, there's not a whole lot of managing that needs to be done because everybody's super excited and driven and motivated to get there together.
Mm. Yeah, I hear that a lot from people that they say, big is bad, or having a massive team has got to be the biggest headache of all time. And then I hear Gary on the other side say, that's because you're hiring people that you're needing to manage versus hiring self-managed people, right? And one of the big ahas from Ann and I coming and shadowing your team a few years ago is I'm looking around and even your ISA is like what most teams would say an ISA is. Like a very, low paid person that's not someone you want to put in front of people. And I'm looking at every single one of your team members across the board. And I'm thinking, these are people that I would expect to see. I did 2 internships at tech companies. These are the kind of people that I would expect to see at a corporate company doing, very successful business. And they're here working on the, for the Loken Group and with the Loken Group. And I think that speaks a lot to what you guys are talking about, where you're writing down your goals. And what it appears to me is that you create confidence for successful people to look at your trajectory and path and see that they can achieve, like what Gary talks about, they can achieve their goals inside of your vision.
Yep. And that's our job, is to build an organization large enough to encompass their dreams and their aspirations. They're either going to stay with you because of opportunity, or they're going to leave your organization because of opportunity. And it's your job to create that opportunity for them to see themselves in.
I love that. So let's switch gears a little bit. Let's talk about the growth path. So Lance, you get into the business with Karina. Sort of walk us through those next few years, and how many years have you guys actually been in real estate?
We started in January of 2011, so we're in our 9th year.
So 9 years, less than 10 years, and you're doing almost 2,500 units. So talk to us about how in the world you do that.
So the first year, it was Karina and myself, and by the 3rd month, we realized that we needed paperwork help because neither of us are very good at paperwork. So
and because somebody was likely going to jail if we kept doing their paperwork.
So we had our babysitter that was going to college, and she was a high C personality. And we asked her, hey, would you be willing to work for 10 hours a week for $10 an hour? Because that's all we could afford. We had absolutely no money whatsoever. And she was willing to do that. And she helped us for 1.5 years. And then our next hire was actually the lady that I met on my first appointment. And she had a high sense of urgency. She responded very quickly. And I said to her, hey, you should come and join the Loken Group. And she goes, who's the Loken Group? And she'd been with RE/MAX for 9 years. And she's going, who are you? And I go, oh, it doesn't matter who we are today. We're going to be #1 in Houston in the next 7 years. So you should join us now. And she goes, and how many transactions have you done? I go, oh, you're my first one, but that's okay because we're going to be #1 in Houston by 2017. And you should join us, and she just said, you're off your rocker. And for 6 months, we kept having these phone conversations. And finally on June 27th, we were on the phone and she says, you know what, I'm just really comfortable where I'm at. And I go, awesome. You enjoy being comfortable. When you want to start really growing, you'll join us. And hung up the phone on her. July 6th, she was working with the Loken Group, and she's still here today and is absolutely amazing. So at the end of the first year, we had 4 people, Karina, myself, Krista, and Tara. And we did 49 transactions for 8.4 million. And our goal for that year was 8 million. So we just surpassed it. And then the second year, we focused on listings. And so we had to add a photographer, a staging consultant, a marketing person. We grew the team to 8 people. We did 117 transactions for 24.3 million. And then we've just steadily grown each year from that point on. We actually have organizational charts done through 2036 right this second. So we know what our growth plan is year by year. And we have everything laid out for us. We can always adjust it, and we do adjust it on a year by year basis, but we have it as a game plan for what we're going to ultimately achieve. And our ultimate goal is to have 15% market share of the Houston net environment.
And where are you guys currently out of in terms of market share?
2.87%.
I knew Lance would know his number.
But that puts it into perspective. You know, people go, oh yeah, you've got this really big business. And we're like, we have 2.87% market share. We're nothing. We've got so much growth opportunity. So that's what we focus on versus what everybody else is doing.
Yeah. What does 15% market share look like?
So there's 100,000 transactions done a year in Houston. That's 200,000 sites. So 15% of that is 30,000 transactions in a year. And our goal is to achieve that by 2036.
That's amazing. So Lance,
and that's at today's numbers, Press. That was a lesson that we learned too when we set our 2017 goals, you know, when we first sat down in 2011 and looked at what the top agents were doing at the time. 250 million was our goal and should have blown it out of the water. And that would not have cut it. Iron sharpens iron, which is fun. And it created some friendly-ish competition here in the area, got everybody going, right? Which is awesome because like, how cool is that everybody's businesses grew?
Yeah, nobody had ever done 250 million in the history of Houston. Nobody had ever done it. And now there's over 6 teams that are doing over 250 million. So it's just like that marathon runner. It was never achieved. And now that it's been achieved, everybody's doing it.
That's amazing. How many of those people, I'm curious, how many of those people are with KW?
None of them.
Wow. So interesting. But what's your point?
We are.
Yeah, you guys are. The point made though is that you push other people who's now that the bar has been broken, the race has been run, you've now pushing others to go do that. So that's incredible. So let's two other questions. Number one, you guys are basically running a mini brokerage. Why do you continue to stay at KW versus just going out on your own? I mean, most people would look up at that size and ask the question, doesn't it make sense to just go do our own thing? And then the second thing is talk a little bit about how you've adjusted to COVID-19.
Karina, do you want to take the KW?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, we've been asked that question, Press, a lot, actually, and it has always been a very, very easy decision for us. We get so many resources, so much amazing training. My background is in education. I taught for almost a decade before I got into real estate. And so I'm pretty picky about the training that we get to, and it's stellar. The level of support that we get and the brilliant minds that we get to mastermind with and have as influences. You know, you're the average of the 5 people that you surround yourself with, and the folks that we have now grown into the privilege of being able to just learn from and be mentored by is astounding. And it's honestly been that way from day one. At each level of our business, there's just, you know, the sharing culture of KW is, you know, just something it's special, right? You don't find it everywhere. And the way that people have paid forward, I mean, your family even has really just taken time to help us in the things that they're just so stellar in and grow. And, you know, there's no amount of money. There's just hardly any even words that you can put around all of the things that we get from KW. Initially, we also really looked at, you know, from even a liability standpoint and, you know, being part of something so much bigger than us. Not only did it bring so many resources to our business day to day, but it also brings so many more resources to our clients. Today, what that looks like, even compared to what it looked like 12 years ago is, I mean, so different, right? The extra resources now that we have for clients is far exceeds just like the idea of E&O and the protection we have from a liability standpoint with Keller Offers and Keller Mortgage and, I mean, all these amazing programs and resources we can offer so that clients can have the very best.
And the biggest thing is when we first started out, we needed help, and because we didn't know what we didn't know. And there were several situations that occurred that KW poured into us, not knowing anything about us. They just did. And we feel like we're reciprocating that loyalty to us from the beginning. And since then, there's been several instances where we've reached out and things have been accomplished immediately. And now we're just reciprocating that. And like Karina said, we will absolutely never leave KW for as long as KW is in existence. So
Awesome. So let's talk about COVID-19 a little bit. How have you guys adjusted? And then I'm going to kick it over to Dana, and then we'll open it up to the group.
okay, awesome. So what was really interesting was the first week when everything was getting shut down, we be pretty honest, we were in kind of panic mode situation because we didn't know what was going to happen. One day we're doing all out business. The next day we're being told that we're not an essential business and you can't do anything. So that first week was very hit and miss. We started meeting as an exec team on a daily basis, just checking to make sure that everybody was good, making sure that we had a game plan to get through that individual day. And then the next week, we found out that we'd be open, or we'd have a game plan until the end of April, because that's how long Texas was allowing people being forced to work from home. So that shifted our focus from getting through a day to getting through a month. And then just recently, the governors announced that they're starting to open Texas back up. So now we're focused on getting us through April and going on beyond, because we have big goals this year and we're not going to change our goals. We just need to change the activities in order to meet that goal. And so it was an evolution of what's occurred. The cool thing is, I think we had Hurricane Harvey to fall back on from that experience. And Karina, you can talk about that.
Yeah, well, so as all of you know, I think, because so many people came and helped us, and thank you to everyone that helped during Harvey to Houston. Harvey was something that we had not ever experienced before, and everybody really rallied together. What was different, very different about Harvey is, it was only really happening here in the Houston area. It wasn't happening to everyone across the country, right? So that was a big difference. There's also been a lot of differences in a lot of our folks have had a lot of anxiety just around the unknown. Once Harvey was done and the rain was gone, then it was just a matter of, okay, what are our statistics? How many houses do we need to clean up? What do we need to do? How many families need our help? This has been a little different, like Lance said, because it feels like every day something is changing. But what did come from Harvey was our team really rallied. We helped find the warehouse that was going to be used for the KW Cares site fell through at the last minute. And one of the gals on our team had a resource that we were able to use. And kind of as a result, our team really was like kind of on the front lines getting in to get it set up ahead of time. We learned so many lessons out of that whole experience, just in rallying together for a common good, how that builds morale, walking people through the emotions of kind of denial from the beginning to accepting this and trying out some new things and strategies and getting a little bit more creative, and just seeing to the other end of it. One thing that Gary talked a lot about in the weeks after Hurricane Harvey was the compounding effect of businesses. And whenever there's any kind of disaster, natural, crisis, whatever, that afterwards, we always see this compounding effect of business. And during Harvey, we had 62 closings that were supposed to close that month. And two out of 62 actually did close that month, which, as you can imagine, and as maybe some of you are feeling, having things get postponed or terminated, right, from a financial standpoint, is scary, or just creates that anxiety. And sure enough, true to form, and of course, Gary's right, always, the following month, we had our biggest month that TLG had ever had in the history of the company. And that compounding effect, we're actually already seeing, and maybe Lance, you want to talk about that, our appointment numbers have been skyrocketing in the last day or two that our ISAs are setting, and people are, now that word is kind of spreading, oh, we're going to open back up. It's amazing how people are responding to it already.
Awesome. Love it. Dana, kick it over to you.
Yeah, quick follow-up question on that. Were you guys virtual? What percentage of your business was virtual before, and how have you transitioned into being more virtual now?
So the first week or so, the challenge that we had was one county would be virtual, the next county would not be virtual. And so we had to tiptoe our ways around to ensure that we were being legal all the way across the board. The one thing that we immediately did that we hopefully was helpful for us is we went in and did Matterport 3D imaging and made sure that all our homes were able to be virtually seen. And then we also got stabilizers for our cameras and did little video tours of each of the homes so that we'd have that up on the MLS as well. And we created an entire virtual experience. So basically, we started out with a virtual consultation, and the buyers and sellers get to choose whether they do phone, FaceTime, Zoom, whatever they wanted to do. That's how the consultation started. And then we would send them the KW app, and they would start searching for homes on the KW consumer app. And then we did virtual home tours. Once in a while, we were able to go into the home, but the buyer agents, for the most part, were not comfortable doing that. So they would unlock the door for the clients and then go back out to the car, and the client would go into the home, come back out to the car, and then the agents would go back in and lock everything up. Then we had inspections. Now, inspections, for everything I've seen, they are considered essential services. So they did do the inspections. The earnest money, we were able to get that done virtually, either FedEx or having money wired. And then everything from a documentation standpoint was done electronically. And then we had mobile closings. We either had the option of doing a mobile notary, or we had several title companies that did drive-by closings. All the documents were ready, and you could literally sign all the documents within 10 minutes and stay in your car the entire time, not touching anybody, just the paperwork. So we had that. And then the keys were delivered to the house so that there was no human interaction. So we created an entire plan, a virtual experience just like this. And that's how we did it the first couple weeks. Things have eased up significantly. So our buyer agents are much more comfortable today than they were 5 weeks ago. So, and there's several things that we're still doing that we may not stop doing after this pandemic's over.
Yeah, and also, like, you know, a lot of what Lance just listed was really around how can we make sure everybody can be safe, right, and still keep operating and feel safe, right? Because just because it's like intentions and perceptions don't always equal up, right? We can intend all day long to do whatever measures that we can possibly put in place to keep people safe, but it still doesn't mean that they're going to feel safe. And one of the keys for that honestly was from Harvey and especially in this whole pandemic situation, the very first calls and what we did absolutely first, every member of our team really jumped into action and started making phone calls to all of our forever clients. You guys probably call them your past clients. Words really matter for us. And I think, man, during all this, it's really proven to be even more true. We want our clients, almost all of them, to be forever clients, right? We want them forever. And when we changed that wording, and that was Lance's idea, and it made such a huge impact on how all of us thought about our clients. Well, you know, that was a year or so ago, come full term to now. And the very first calls we made to everybody was, are you okay? You know, do you need anything? We have our 501c3, TLG Gives charity that 100% of everything goes back into the community. And so we had kind of stockpiled toilet paper and other basic needs for people that we could take care packages or send a card for groceries if they were, you know, really in a challenging spot. And I think our clients knowing that time after time, and Lance, I saw you look down, maybe you're queuing up that Facebook message from that guy that sent to us, you know, time after time, I think our forever clients who are seeing us show up that way, part of the safety factor, and it's what Gary talked about all the time. For years and years, I've heard him talking about building a moat around your business with your database, or again, another word, we call that our data bank, because there's just gold in there. But, that moat really means you are creating relationships with those people that they know first and foremost that their safety is your first priority, not your commission check, that what you're doing, intention, and then starts to match perception, because they see you being consistent and showing up the same way for them over and over, and that they're your first priority. And that's really, guys, been such a huge piece of this. And it's been honestly a really big gift in this whole thing, is that it gives us another opportunity to show up that way for our clients and strengthen that relationship. So we made 8,000 calls in the last 4 weeks to our data bank. We started with our forever clients, and it took about 2 weeks for our team to call them. And then we called all of the rest of our METs, our Sphere, everybody else in there, and just let them know that we care about them and what we could do to help. And people giving us referrals just from those calls, not even asking.
Wow. Actually, some of my questions are some of the questions in the chat right now. That's so funny. Joel, I was going to ask that same one.
Anna, real quick before y'all jump into that, I want to hear Lance read that Facebook post.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. So this was 2 weeks ago on a Sunday morning. I was on Facebook, and all of a sudden this post came through to the Loken Group, and I was like, oh, wonder what this is. It was pretty cool. I can't even begin to express how awesome this company is. It all started with a great experience with Leanne helping us to find our first home. She made the whole experience so easy for us, and I highly recommend her in the future. The biggest surprises came after closing on our home. The Loken Group has continued to stay in our lives for the years to come. As customer appreciation, they have invited us to events at the Houston Zoo, where we receive a free pass for our entire family to go into the zoo. And then they have a huge tent set up for cookout for all of our people to enjoy. They also have seasonal events over the holidays where they reserve a huge pie for you. Those pies are super good too, and always a favorite with holiday dinners. The biggest thing of all is what they do in times of crisis. After Hurricane Harvey hit Houston, they consistently called to check on us to see if there was anything we needed, and wanted to know if me and my family were okay. During this time, I was very lucky, and we were doing great. Now we have this new crisis, COVID-19. Once again, they called to check on us, but this time I was almost in tears due to losing my job right when this all happened. First, they helped by sourcing some hard to find supplies and had it ready for me at the office. Now, once again, almost bringing me to tears, they sent me a HEB gift card, which is a grocery gift card, to help with groceries. I won't say how much, but it wasn't for $20 or something small. It was a significant amount that helped my big family tremendously. I'm close to crying writing this. This company really cares, and they stand for something good. I will always use them and recommend them to anyone looking for a realtor company. They go above and beyond for their clients, even after business is done. This will never be forgotten.
I have chill bumps after you read
Wow.
that. That's amazing.
That's awesome.
It meant so much to us. And I think just goes to prove what's really important to our clients, right? It's not just the real estate sale. It's that they are our forever clients, and how can we be serving them on every level?
Yeah.
You never lose doing anything like that. You can never anticipate what you're going to receive. Linda always tells us, life gives to the giver and takes from the taker.
Yep.
Amen.
Yeah. Okay. Joel asked, who does the client care calls? I assumed everybody on your team.
Yeah, we've even through all of this, we've had folks on our team so primary responsibility would normally be our inside sales team, because they're our lead generators. They're reaching out to our data bank all the time as part of their one thing. But on this occasion, everybody started digging in and calling, which is how we could get through 4,000 calls, right? And check in on that many people. We do have a client care department. They actually routinely make calls throughout, primarily for our listing team, because in the listing process, there's longer gaps of time, like while people are getting their house ready, while the property's on the market. you know, where buyers, we're in the car with them, we're much more day-to-day active with them. So our client care department calls in between different steps to check in on our sellers also. And so they already had a relationship with them. So we just all hands on deck for this.
Okay, let me ask a couple more of these, and then I do have one question I definitely want to ask you guys before we end. Michael asked, does your team represent builders, and what does that process look like from a listing standpoint and from a lead gen standpoint to market the specs, open houses, etc.?
So yes,
Sure, Lance?
yeah, we do represent builders. We have 4 builders in the area that we represent. We'll list their homes for a nominal amount, and then we get all the buyer leads from those listings. What was interesting is about a month ago, all the builders stopped construction because they weren't sure how the pandemic was going to arrive. And I kept saying, you guys are nuts. You should be building more homes now so that when the pandemic goes over, you're going to have all these homes available for people to purchase before the end of the summer. But they literally stopped all of construction for a month. They closed down all of their model homes and everything. And just yesterday, they opened back up their offices and model homes and are starting to do business again. But they literally shut down for a month.
Well, and you know, we all kind of thought that was a little crazy because those are the homes we can advertise as COVID free, right? The homes that don't have people that are living in them, and even especially if they aren't staged with a lot of furniture, that until we really knew how these floors were holding on fabrics and that kind of thing, it was a pretty safe showing.
Okay. Okay, perfect. Let's see. Oh, Ryan asked, how many people actually asked you to do anything for them when you did make your care calls, going back to the care calls?
Oh, we've spent over $10,000 already in supplies and resources. We have 2 palletfuls of toilet paper here at the office, or we did have 2 palletfuls. We've had sanitizing stuff. We've had gloves, booties, Lysol spray and things like that. So we were able to get a lot of supplies, and we've gone through just about everything already. 2 days a week, people come by the office and pick up their supplies. We have everything COVID-19 certified from a disinfectant
CDC.
perspective. And then there's been several of the people that have needed to have the stuff delivered to their homes. So our ops people and our success team, they've been going out and making deliveries. So we've used quite a bit.
We've helped over 100 families right off the bat within the first like 2.5, 3 weeks.
That is incredible. Wow. How'd y'all get all the toilet paper and Lysol is what I want to know.
So what was cool was we have our offices cleaned on a daily basis, or we did before the pandemic occurred. And so we immediately reached out to our supply company and said, hey, we need this, this, and this. And because we were on the front end and we were implementing quickly, we were able to get those supplies on the front side. And, you know, fortunately, we were able to get enough supplies in that beginning to carry us through this.
Man, that's
kind
awesome.
of the same way we just got a truckload of red, gray, and black sheets to make masks out of. We like jump and run.
Y'all are on it. I love it. Okay, one more question, and this is something we haven't talked about yet, but is super important to talk about. Is command? Is your sales team only using command or using in parallel with anything else? And if so, what challenges did you have switching over? What were the main challenges you're seeing other teams as they adopt? And we know you guys have been big users of command since the beginning. So would love to hear your thoughts and feedback on that.
Karina, why don't you talk about the market center first, and then I'll talk with the team.
Sure. Yeah. So one of the things that we didn't talk about on the front end of the call is, and Press, when you asked about would we ever leave KW, no. And actually right after Harvey, we were given another big blessing from KW and had the opportunity to buy our first market center. And so we've been very much on the front end of everything with command from the beginning, both with TLG and with the market center. Because TLG has so many people, it certainly presents a lot of extra challenges for the tech guys to figure out But we've very quickly migrated everybody in our market center over to Command, whether they were individual agents or teams. The next largest team to ours in the market center has about 10 people on it. So they were kind of right on the edge of what KW was saying they were ready for, but they had moved from another brokerage here and they were ready to just dive in head first. They actually didn't have a CRM when they joined KW at all. And so they thought it was been, fantastic, just a way to get organized and get all their data bank in. And so from that standpoint, I mean, we're doing everything through it. And we're moving everybody through all opportunities. We've had a lot of success with people using Designs and Lead Accelerator. I mean, there's just new success stories coming in every week, and people have just absolutely loved it. It's not just saving them time, money, but it's saving a ton of time, which is precious, right? Because we can always go out and make another dollar. I will pay somebody some of that money if you can find where we can go make another minute, because it's just not possible. You can use your minutes better, but you can't make more. So it's been super valuable. Our agents have been thrilled, like I said, individual and teams in the market center. TLG is still migrating over because, again, there's 85 of us. And so it has more complexities in the way that we do our business. And so right now we're moving bits and pieces. We also are using Lead Accelerator. Our marketing department has been starting to do marketing through there. And play around with that.
I think you locked
We
up.
also
That's kind of freaky.
Yeah. Maybe Karina, let me talk.
Beta tested. He had gotten back into production for a little while, and he and his listing partner, they ran all of their transactions. Oh, I did?
Yes. You broke
Oh,
up.
yes.
Okay.
She's gone.
Lance.
Lance, go for it.
So,
Lance, one of our agents said that's more my speed.
yeah, there you go. So,
Okay, so talk.
we've been committed with Command from day one, literally day one, the very first lab we were there, and have gone through this entire process. The challenge that we've had is there's three major components that Command doesn't do yet, perform for us yet. And so we're just waiting until those three components work. And as soon as that happens, then we'll be transitioning over to Command. And they've committed that by July 1st, those three will be in place. One of them's having a mobile app for our outside production to be utilizing Command on a regular basis. The other one is team functionality from permission standpoint. And then the third and the biggest thing for us is notifications. We need people to be able to have notifications, whether it be via text or email or a notification on your phone. So once those three components are available, then we will immediately be shifting over. We're already doing commissions on Command, but that's the extent of everything. We're literally meeting with the executives at KW on a weekly basis and are working through the situation, and everybody is committed, but by July 1st, we'll be on 100%.
And I'm back. Can you hear me this time?
We
Yeah.
got
I must have had a funny freeze frame there. I could hear what you were saying.
sounded like a robot, but
Oh, good. You asked about how virtual our business was and what we had to change. And that was something that was really amazing for us to be able to see in real time and put it to the test, because our market center has everybody on Command and running through, like Lance was saying, everybody's in commissions, everybody's in opportunities. Other than our MCA needing to go up and pick up checks when stuff has been dropped off to process, we literally, our whole operation was remote and able to be virtual, which was great because our MCA was in France when all this COVID stuff hit, and he flew back, landed, and was mandated to 14 days in quarantine right away. And so it was really important for us to be able to be virtual, and we've been able to just not have any hiccups. It's been seamless to serve our agents.
Awesome.
That's awesome.
Dana, we got any more questions?
I think we answered most of them. I do have one quick one. And if anybody else has the last one, you guys can type it in. Oh wait, do we book?
Yeah, somebody had asked what we're going to do moving forward versus what we didn't do before.
Oh yes, perfect. Yep.
Great question.
Yeah. So we did an interesting exercise right after the first week when everything was so uncertain, and it was a really cool, it ended up being a really cool exercise. We took 30 minutes and wrote down the numbers 1 through 20 and said, what would business need to look like if we were completely virtual? And write down 20 ideas that you have. The first 5, 10, they were relatively easy to come up with. The 11 through 20 became extremely difficult, and that's where the best ideas came out. At the end of the exercise, when the executive team did that exercise, we had 11 pages of notes, which was absolutely incredible. And so then obviously we perused throughout all the 11 pages and came up with 3 things that we were going to immediately implement. And those 3 items are, we're going to perform pre-listing inspections, meaning we're going to kind of call it TLG certified listings, that the buyers can purchase a home reviewing the inspection report, knowing that the validity of that inspection report is valid. And we've even got the inspector to have 5 different warranties in place for the buyers, so that even after they purchase the home, up to 120 days after the purchase, they've got these warranties in place to secure them or to give more value. So that was one. The second one is love it or leave it promise, meaning if you purchase a home with us and within the first 90 days, you don't love the home that you're living in, we'll turn around and sell it for you for free on the listing commission. We'll forego our listing commission and we'll sell that home for you as long as you use us to purchase your next home. And then finally, we're working through a virtual opportunity, and we called it Won't You Be My Neighbor videos. And basically the sellers are going to their neighbors and asking the neighbors to do like a short 15 to 30 second video of saying why they should have people come and live next to them. So it's kind of a cool little thing. We're in the process of working that out. But those are the 3 things that we've been implementing that we don't think we'll go backwards on.
Those are awesome. All 3 of those. Love that. I love the Won't You Be My Neighbor video. That's super cool.
Dana, we've got another question in the Q&A. The question is, outside of Command, what has been your most effective lead sources? Do you spend on Google and Facebook? So I guess talk around lead gen. What do you guys do to provide leads for your agents and also to provide leads for the business?
Karina, go.
So,
That's your cup of tea.
Yeah, sure. I love lead gen. So we have an inside sales agent team, and they are our prospectors. So they handle both our outbound and our inbound lead gen. Fortunately, we have for about 6 years worked with a program called RATE, which is Radio and Television Experts, and had gotten very sticky with them through all of this COVID stuff. It's one of the areas that we've chosen to cut from just cutting in our budget standpoint. And I think it speaks for being consistent. And Gary always says time on task over time. We're still getting a lot of inbound leads from that source. A lot of times it's because they've seen a sign and then they go, oh, we heard you on the radio, right? But like we call it cross-pollination of leads. So that's kind of one of our biggest sources for our inbound leads. We also get a lot of business from our builder new construction, and not just referrals from sales counselors, but also some of our builders allow us to put signs in their yards. So we get a lot of leads from that. And then we also outbound prospect to our data banks, like we've been talking about, to Sphere, to Forever Clients. We have campaigns set in place for that. And those are the 3 lead sources that we get the majority of our leads from.
It's great. Are you doing pay-per-click, driving people to a website, converting leads off of there, Facebook ads? What does your internet strategy look like?
Yeah, we completely transitioned from the radio and television marketing, which was costing us about $65,000 a month. And we converted over to doing a lot of digital marketing because people are sitting on Facebook, they're sitting on Google, reviewing everything, they're on Instagram. So we shifted our focus over to that. We're now spending $6,000 a month for Google AdWords and Facebook advertising, and we're using Command for accelerator ads. And that is really generating a lot of business for us. And the radio and television, we'll start that back up again once people are back to work and driving again. But right this second, when they're sitting at home, they're sitting on their computers. They're not necessarily listening to the radio. So we felt like that was a real good shift for us during that time. What's really cool is, though, I mean, our goal is to have 400 set appointments a month, 300 kept appointments a month, and 200 agreements signed. And through yesterday, we're at 283 appointments set for the month. So we're only 117 behind, and we still have 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 days to go in the month. So we'll achieve that goal. We need 200, and we're at 211 appointments kept, and we're only 89 short there. So we'll beat that goal. And we're only 64 behind on agreement signed. So we're going to, even despite the situation that we've been encountering the last 5 weeks, our inside sales organization is just blowing it up. And they're all coming from contribution. The script that we use is just what Karina said. Check in on them first, make sure they're doing well, convert over to, if you need anything from us, we have a charity group called TLG Gives. And then come back to, oh, by the way, did you know that the market's really robust right this second? Just yesterday, we've sold 23 homes. We've put 20 on the market. And so business is happening. If you know of anybody looking to buy or sell a home, we'd love to work with them. And then we finally follow up with, hey, just want to make sure if there's anything that you need, we're here as a resource for you. So are you sure there's nothing that we need? So you go from contribution into addressing the current situation, checking for a referral, and then ending it with the contribution. And that was a huge takeaway for us.
Yeah, and I think the other important thing to know in all these statistics that hit very quickly, we were watching like with the online advertising for Facebook, and that, you know, by week 2, Facebook had doubled in the amount of viewership and how many people were on Facebook and seeing, you know, it used to be, I think, like people saw on average like 12% of posts, and it literally doubled inside of a week. So, you know, looking at the statistics of where we could best capitalize on people's, you know, attention. But the other really important number, and it was interesting because KW came out with taking all of the AI that they have and being able to look at how many leads needed to go into your pipeline. You know, we had a little bit of a false positive sense in March. A lot of people did, at least, because their businesses didn't feel that different from a closing standpoint. However, where the big difference was already showing up was in the front end in the pipeline. And KW, and we were coached by Anna Kruger through MAPS for our ISAs. She does a group coaching. And with all the teams that she was watching, what she was seeing just from the teams she coaches matched exactly with what all the AI had pulled from KW. And it was taking about 2.5 leads going into your pipeline to equal what was 1. So people were not just even having to double down on their efforts, but somewhere between doubling and tripling, and really watching those conversions. And, you know, for us to know what needed to go in the front, you know, that's like when Lance says, we're not changing our goals, we're not, but we do have to change our activities. And so, you know, it's really powerful, I think, to know how do you need to change your activities, because then you can still dictate exactly what the outcome's going to be.
Awesome. Well, we are at 1:02. I want to respect everyone's time today. First off, this has been super valuable. So what I would love is I'm going to ask Lance and Karina 2 more quick questions. And while I'm doing that, will everyone go in the comments and just post your aha from today and just give them a big thank you for their time? spending their time with us today. So last two questions, Lance and Karina. Number one, the question someone asked was, where are you finding the best ISAs? And I want everyone to know that Lance has a secret weapon. Lance likes to drink wine, and he finds a lot of talent at the wine bar. So Lance, I think you need to tell him a little bit about that in addition to answering that question. And number two, what's the last thing you want to leave our people with in terms of just thinking bigger and creating amazing businesses that they love?
Well, Karina, go ahead and talk about the recruiting.
Yeah. So the easy answer, press, is everywhere. We are constantly looking for talent, and as our team grows, obviously we've been training our team to also be looking for talent. A's want to work with A's, A pluses want to work with A pluses, right? And so our team does a great job of always watching too. Lance and I might have ended up in a little marriage counseling because our dates kind of were like across each other's shoulders and looking at like the wait staff and bartenders, and we're always looking and scouting for people. And we've found a lot of people that way, not just in wine bars, but in every kind of bar, really. And in all sorts of establishments. The guy that runs our builder division was sitting beside me on an airplane on the way to Vegas. Lance had me go for my 40th birthday, and we got into a conversation. And so you just never know where you're going to find amazing talent. The key is when you're really clear on your mission, vision, and values, it's almost like the heavens open up and lights shine down on people that are really a match for your organization. So that clarity is the most important piece of all of it. I think, do you want me to go, Lance, with like the last thought, or you want to go next?
Yeah, go ahead, and I'll just finish up.
Our coach shared with us, our exec team all is in MAPS, Mastery Coaching. We're actually all in technically transformational coaching with John Vandergant. And a couple of weeks ago, in the middle of all this, he asked such a powerful question, and I think it's a question that we all need to be asking ourselves forever, over and over at different points in our lives. But he said, okay, when this is over, what? Am I frozen?
Yes.
Frozen again? Okay, talk.
Okay.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
You're
Sorry.
back.
The other thing we've learned in all of this, our IT guy told us that we have basically the equivalent of a DSL line in a third world country of internet speed at our house. So, it's terrible. Anyhow, what John BG said to us was this: when this is all over, whatever over means, how do you want to be able to say you showed up? And to like right now with intention. And like I said, I think we can be asking ourselves that question forever through everything, right? Like when my teenage girls get through high school, how do I want to be able to say I showed up as a mom? Like it applies to everything, right? But in the midst of right now in our business, how do you want to be able to say you showed up for your clients, for your teammates, for your KW offices, for your fellow, real estate agents, for everybody around you, and especially for your families? How do you want to be able to say you showed up? And then to take that statement, whatever you've written, and in front of it write, when in times of choice, I choose to blank with whatever your answer was. Because, every minute of every day we get to make choices. And, what I think certainly this COVID thing has exacerbated is there are some things we can control and some things we can't. And some things we shouldn't be trying to control, right? That aren't going to be helpful. But when we really do have times of choice, when we have that clarity, and like Lance said at the very beginning, with total intention in the things that we're doing, and we have a plan, then whenever you're faced with a choice, you know exactly how you're going to react and can feel really good about that. So that would be my parting thought.
So I'll make it really quick. There's a poem that I'm living by right this second during this pandemic. And it says, you either get bitter or you get better. It's that simple. You either take what has been dealt to you and allow it to make you a better person, or you allow it to tear you down. The choice does not belong to fate. It belongs to you. And it can't be better said than that right this second. You can take the pandemic and focus on that, and automatically you have negative feelings. Or you can take the pandemic and say, oh, how are we going to make this work in our world? And all of a sudden you automatically start having positive feelings because you're looking at how you can accomplish it or how you can overcome it. And that's where our focus is at.
Awesome. I love it. Well, I know on behalf of everyone here, you guys are amazing, and we so appreciate your time and everything you do, not only for just KW, but specifically for our region and things like that. You guys have always been just such amazing people, and so we just so appreciate y'all.
We'll do anything for
Thank
you.
you.
Jeff.
You bet. Thanks for having us.
Let us know what we can do for you. Everyone, send your Houston referrals their way. All right, everyone. We appreciate you. See ya.
Bye, guys.